Hello, this is Damien Reaper. You ready to scream out loud? Here on the Diamond's Eye? Well then, come on. Let's have a chat with the dead man of Cincinnati. If you're on my any of my sites, either being War of Nightmares, which is where I want you to send in your character, or you can develop a character and send to me and be part of the community. There's no limitations. You create who you want to be, and you're welcome to being part of the War of Nightmares. Here, this is all about training and teaching and trying to get others to teach and others to get involved. And for me, I get to project my personal feelings, my history, and my point of views of what actors need to do and talents need to do for this business and industry to grow. I don't think the greatest thing of our industry is buying a prop that is worth more than your house, or midways that are millions of dollars. I believe it's in many things, which is it should be about story. It should be about the actors telling their stories and trying to entertain and scare people because it is fun. Somehow, at least in 2011 on, many owners have restricted certain things and made it harder for the actor to grow as an artist, and trying to take certain things away, like their characters or their ways to express themselves as a haunter, as an artist, and build their resume and portfolios. They're telling their actors, you're not allowed doing this and that, and hiring on the basis of Christmas money. Come on, do this for extra Christmas money. And that's not what an actor wants to hear. To me, it's not about making the money. It's about building your craft and building your brand. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because, back in 1998, I did not think I'd be lasting, for 21 years. And, 27 years now, 6 years retired as an actor. Due only to health, but also a kind of looking at the industry in a way that I see very, very unhealthy of how they treat their employees or volunteers. We are all artists. We're all doing the same job. And when I hear, these people just chuck a costume at someone, try to create in 5 seconds. Some people can do that, some people can't, and they let people go. And I'm thinking to myself, what, did you do any training? No. We just read a piece of paper. They're not going in depth. They're not working with talent and trying to collaborate a really good character for that room as a theater style would. And they're just doing everything ass backwards, and they're wondering why they lose so many people at the end of the year. Because they're not taking time to know these people and get the character out of someone. They're chucking a costume at someone because they hired them and they expect the best from them. And when you're a returner or a veteran, maybe you can expect that. But if they're someone that's just starting in the business and you're treating them on the equal level of someone that has experience and not caring about that person caring about their craft. You expect them to care about you, to stick with you night after night. I think there's something wrong here, maybe. And I wanted to, talk about, haunt actors building their brand and looking at this as a professional thing and building a legacy, because that's what I tried to do, even though a lot of people have a miserable viewpoint of this. But I see haunts struggling to hire and keep talent. And as a former performer, excuse me, and a former haunt icon, at least what reviewers say, and my peers have said back years ago, with all due respect, you're doing something completely wrong. And it's not always the talent's fault for not being invested or not being committed. You need to be committed to helping them. And that takes time. That takes more than just 1 week. And how you teach people, and those who want to be teachers, who you choose to be teachers, can they teach well? And, do they love not just what they do, but do they love teaching? I think that's a big thing. And most of all, the relationships between owners and management and talent. The best productions I've ever been part of, when it was good, was we were all on one level, and that was to win, every single year. We weren't out there trying to be competitive with people, which that's their whole life thing, is trying to compete and ruin businesses and have people stalk other people. And to me, that's just sick, and we need to do something about that there. And to me, as a former actor and character, I don't use my real name because that's not the point of who I am. The point of who I am is Damien Reaper. That comes from my own passions, my own. I use a character to cope with issues I have, from my childhood. It's a way for me to express myself and heal from years of trauma creatively and in a healthy way, because that's what any actor should do. It is, a way to express themselves in any way they feel that they can grow as an artist. And I think a lot of the haunts do not do this correctly. They just look at it as sort of as they did in the beginning. Okay, with really bad casting back in the 70s and 80s and even 90s, where somebody might love Freddy, but they're 300 pounds and 4'3", and back years ago, it was okay because that was kind of normal. It wasn't treated as a theater. If you looked at theater, hey, you like that? You're the costume, go do it. And though they might, do it correctly, as feeling like a, Freddy would or Dracula or something like that, but they don't exactly look like them, and the costumes didn't kind of look like them, but it wasn't good costuming. And then people start creating their own characters, and I'm sure people did it before myself and Bloodstone in the 90s, but for me, I looked at it is a different way because my teachers were, the late great Ozzy Osbourne, Alice Cooper, Kiss, and those type of an Undertaker from WWE, where there was a maybe a character presented to them with like Undertaker with Mark Holloway was given the Undertaker persona, but there was a darkness in him, and him being a horror fan where he make that thing come alive. Ozzy, he was just Ozzy. Kiss, they used the things they loved and became the characters. Alice, he wanted to be a villain. He wanted to be something else, but the root of him, he wanted to do something that he did not like and enjoy. There is some sinister side to him, even though he is a good guy. And that's the thing, as a haunt actor, for myself, is I think I'm a nice person. I believe some people have called me an asshole for simply standing up, going, "No, I'm not going to change and kill my character, or allow you to talk and degrade who I am." Which I've never done to others unless they stepped on my shoes. And if I hear something from someone, like a couple years ago with a guy named Derek Stone from the Dead Schoolhouse, somehow knew that I was on SSI and asked, how do you live? Well, it's none of your damn business. And that type of thing, if things are like that being told within a haunted house or industry, that may not be good. I'm not one to, talk about someone's family or life beyond the business. And I'm really big on that. Unless you step in my shoes, and, fair game. I'm not going to let you talk to me that way. And, I'm very Irish in the sense that you punch me, I'm going to knock you right out. I'm not going to let you talk to me that way. I'm a nice guy, but there's only so much a nice guy can take. And when building your brand as an actor, you have to have values and make choices on yourself where you feel comfortable where you're at. And, to me, people say that, someone has an ego for standing up for their principles and what they built over your wonderful business, that, that's more important than one person. You're right on a level that it's, what you're doing is important to you. What's important to me is what I'm doing. And there has to be a mutual respect of, okay, you're hiring me to do this. Okay. Well, then hire me to do it. And when I was hired by Dead Schoolhouse from leaving the Dungeon Delhi, which I was volunteering for years and started my career with, but I was aging out of doing volunteer stuff there. With Dent, they hired us because I'm Damien Reaper, and there was Fatso the Clown and Bloodso the Clown, and other people started creating their own characters, and it was great. And I think the room and the haunt theme, that is an owner's thing. They want to create a graveyard, create a church, create a doctor's office. Unlimited there. unlimited creativity. And Den Schoolhouse is one of the best of doing that. And Dungeon Delight, we did not have the money to create elaborate rooms, but we did okay for the lint that we had in our pockets, you know, and that's how pretty much the industry has started. I've never been into a JC haunt, but I've been to a lot of charity haunts that have the similar budget, and we were looked down at. I mean, we were continued to be looked down at. So for me, being Damien Reaper, I had to grow and evolve. And when I say that I have a brand, many haunt owners hate that concept for actors, because you can't own, that. That's why they've been creating the non-complete contracts, strict rules like point systems and mandatory nights that they think are going to keep an actor there, is actually driving them away. And that's because they're not looking at the real reality of not everybody sees this as a profession. They're not looking at this as their dream, as you do, as I do. And I think ironically, these choices are just pushing away who you are hiring to do the job. Then I see posts of management friends that call the talent that they hired as cosplayers. And for me, it's like, you hired them. What the hell are you saying? You're downgrading someone for jobs, for a thing that you're supposed to be teaching them. You're supposed to be mentoring them. You're supposed to be doing something other than putting them down. And I would give people lessons in the past. And then other people, actors, would actually DM those people and put them down. Because, I think somehow owners put it into their, other people's skulls that this is the end. This is the best place in the whole world. It's a tribalism toxicity that creates the worst outcomes. And when, as an actor, you should be allowed to keep your work, keep documenting, your makeup and costuming and video and stuff like that to build your resume and portfolio, as makeup artists do. As they, let makeup artists do that, you should be allowed to do that too, for maybe future work. Your business may not last forever. What are they going to do? Excuse me. I mean, this is supposed to be a community of talents. However, owners are pretty much trying to take every opportunity away from an actor because they are in such fear of losing their actors, their help to another haunt, or letting them go to do whatever. Even if they don't tell you, which, that's happened in my time, and a lot of people should get over it, and that's the truth. I'm being a friend, get over it, my friends at Dent, or even with Maul. Life goes on. If people want to return, you shouldn't be denying their help because you have a grudge. Understand why they left and figure something out for that person. They're not someone on a leash. They're an artist. They want to go and grow. And when you take those things of like their characters away from them, not opening the door for new characters from other places, all you have to do is tell them, look, We'll take you and your characters to come here, but you have to refine them to match our theme and our brand too. To have a middle of the road there of we're not better than your resume type of feeling, because I've heard by mouth of someone saying your resume does not matter. It's us that matters. And I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, if those things don't matter, that means your background doesn't matter. What you did in the past does not matter either. It's that mutual respect type of thing. You are not God. So many owners and management and even veteran actors think they're omnipotent. They're so above everyone else that they are looking low. And I've never done that in my lifetime. I got the years and respect because I worked hard for it. But I don't look at someone that's new and think they're less than. I will mentor that person 1 year with someone like me, helping them bring out their character, saying, hey, what do you like? I like soul. I like, hip hop. Even though I don't know about those things, I'm not a big soul fan. Maybe I can bring something out of them to be like, okay, we're going to create something, a killer that, it has a sadistic side where the person that they're torturing, that they're killing, has done something wrong in their lifetime that offends you. And you can build that character up of who that is and have, things like soul and things of whatever they love put into their character and reinvent that similar idea to a clown, to, maybe a drag character, maybe to a zombie, maybe to whatever. There's things you can do where you can say yourself and say the passion, but you're taking the things that you love, your personality. You can give it a name like I did with Damien Reaper, and have elements continue every single year. And a lot of people didn't like that for still to this day. Do not know the reason why other people don't like it and don't like me and don't like what my brand is about. Because it's freedom. I'm not going to sit there and kill what I did to work for you, and I want to expect that from you. It's that mutual respect that somehow got lost in translation, and whatever that is. But when I believe in equal opportunity, if you're someone with a veteran experience, you take in their veteran experience and look at their portfolio and go, well, this don't quite match, but this looks pretty cool. How can we take this and match it with my theme? It's just the collaboration level of real theater. I mean, this is a dark theater, in-your-face theater, and the idea of somebody just going, oh, we're going to chuck the costume at you, it doesn't work. It doesn't, you're supposed to be invested in what you do, into your character, and I always, when back in my past, they put me in a room and they knew that I was going to be there maybe, but they knew I was going to be in the room and stick with it, and maybe that's why they kept me in the same room. But, when I look back at it now, I could have had 7 variants of Damien Reaper to fit in any area at any of the haunts, and it would work out fine and keep a similar vibe with what I was doing, but give, fit into any type of spot, that was needed. I mean, it's not on a hard concept. It's like if you're creating, if you're a veteran that likes to go and play different characters, it's the same type of concept, but you're using your real personality and just amping it up to 10,000. And for me, that's Damien Reaper, and having a narrative throughout the years of just, it's a chapter, and it's just going forward. For some reason, people thought that was an ego, and I, maybe I'm dumb. I don't know. How is that ego from sticking true to what I did at Dungeons of Delhi, move that to the Dent Schoolhouse, and traveling with Maul to different haunted houses, still keeping the same history of the character where it started, but evolving it to something new, and the unlimited freedom of, you can either have a universal character, or you can have a where you're playing multiple characters and still doing the same process, still being as versatile as you want to be, but still sticking true to your past and honoring your legacy and honoring your resume, your portfolio, and all those type of things. Somehow, some people didn't like it. To this day, I still don't know why. In 2013, everybody had to remove their characters for this noir theme, which it was a great idea for a movie. Didn't quite make sense for a haunted house. For have ghosts to come outside and not talk to people, or changing me into a detective, and giving me a script, which I did fine with, but that's not true to the nature of who I am. And when that happens, that creates not happiness. That's not Halloween. That's murder mystery theater, maybe. And to me, Halloween should come from the simple idea. When you're 5 and 6 year old, you create, you could create your own character. You're fantasizing to be like Superman or Batman, maybe Freddy Krueger or Dracula, and you start going, okay, I want to be a superhero, but I want to create it myself. I want to be the monster, but I don't want to be someone else. It's as simple ideas, and true to the nature of Halloween, and being an artist, and growing from that love of passion. And many people are just trying to kill it and not teach it to the kids that need to express themselves. I mean, everyone in the business of haunting could dream of being a rock star, movie star, or wrestling star, but end up in haunting because it's close by. It's a sort of the same thing that you could get to. In the early 2000s, in the mix of Dungeons, Delhi, going to Dent Schoolhouse, everybody had MySpaces and social media for their characters. Even the owners had these things. And in 2012, at least for myself, things started to change where, owners are telling actors, don't post your pictures, don't do this, don't do that, which will help your portfolio of your career of wanting to be an artist. The makeup artists are allowed to do it. You as a haunted house owner are documenting all these things anyway. So what's in it for the actor? Well, they get their paycheck. You mean after all the deductions of, having dinner, having, CDs and DVDs of their work given to them, or, just where's the incentive of doing that type of thing? And to me, you know, it doesn't make sense. You know, with pro haunts being more aggressive with their point systems, we're already getting, attacked by customers that don't understand our business. I mean, who knows? Somebody can come around with a gun and hurt someone, or some type of situation like that where eventually people will detract from wanting to do haunted houses. And where do you go from there? We have had many losses, including my father, who are true blue haunted house actors, but don't have anything much of, their photos, their pictures. People sometimes had to use, my photographs for the news or something, because they didn't collect it. And everything should be documented from top to bottom every year. Not just for that person's resume or portfolio, but to have it as an experience. And when you say no, I mean, look at it. What I've noticed with people who left Dungeons or Dent or Mall, some of them don't have a place to go because either Dungeons is closed, Mall closed business, Dent is rejecting them for whatever reason, and even just because of whatever situation, they don't have nothing for their, any type of future work for our portfolio, and I'm speaking up for actors. If you're letting a makeup artist or costume designer keep records of their work, why aren't you letting actors? And I did it anyway because I'm Damien Reaper, and I don't care. I don't care what they think and what they say, because they don't own me at all. I honor my past. I don't try to destroy it, as some people have. Or look, like something like when I returned to the Dungeon of Delhi with Maul in 2014. Some actors, I hate to say, from Dent, they were friends. And what the owner told me from Dungeons at the time was they were telling their kid actors, well, why don't you come to Dent, and kind of reducing their value there. That's what the owner said. So I had to report on that type of behavior. Or even a situation where a management, come to a teaching class where to make sure that we weren't saying anything bad about them, which I would never allow. Most people would never allow that to happen because that's not the point, which is silly. You should not sit there and be so afraid of what someone says, because it could be true. When I believe in building your brand on being professional, being on time, rarely calling your days off. I didn't call any days off. However, maybe I should have in the long run, because my health is not doing very well right now because of all the choices I made when I was younger. But I was so driven to helping my friends, would I get that back in return? You should be working on building your brand, treating yourself as a business, just as much as an owner treating their establishment as a business. And it should go both ways. if you want to do this long term, and sometimes it's not an automatic choice. Sometimes it takes about 3 years on your belt to go, I love this thing. I love it and I want to stick with it. But you should be allowed to keep and collect photos and videos and have that for your portfolio. And your owners and management should allow you to do this because it's right. Every single theater should encourage this. When I went to the dance schoolhouse in about 2006 to guest act, then going to staying there in 2007, they had this great thing where they put up all the photos of every single actor, and they actually let the public vote for who they think is the best, who they like. And I think that that's not the worst thing in the world. I never got it. And I was fine with that because the reviewers always had me on their reviews. And I thought it was fair, And I was trying to get other actors to tell me their characters. And because the reviewers gave me a microphone and let me speak on the review and try to, pass the torch of going, look at this guy, this is amazing. He's the creep, he's the night howler, he's Fatso, he's all these characters. Because it's not about Damien Reaper when it comes to being a team, it's about being a family. And encouraging my friends and family that works with me, even going back in the past and saying Buddy the Bum, Chainsaw Cease, Wolf Girl, and all those type of characters from Dungeons, and giving respect and honor to them as well. And, for some reason, owners did not like this whatsoever. It was always about them, their business. That's, they are the almighty. And that wasn't just the point of view of myself. Others felt that as well. When you go into a group situation, going to a haunted house, do not pound and yell your name, your group name, and act like this is the damn football team. Do not draw attention to yourself, man. Be respectful on their land. You're not great. That's why I'm much more into building up the individual, because you don't want that toxic team behavior to be an affection that hurts you in the end. And I definitely did not want that, for Dent or Mall. Dungeons, we didn't have that. Actually, it's funny because the place that had the most kids and all that stuff had the less drama of professional, actors, and I consider volunteer work being professional too, because you're putting time into something. You're treating it with respect and honor. You're not missing days, all those type of deals. It's all about upholding your values. I always want to learn. Don't kill off my brand. Don't kill off my character. And I want to do it to someone else. I don't break my own rules of trying to put someone down of what they're creating. I might give them guidance, but I encourage them, to build something, to build what they want to. And with haunted houses, let's say, with the Dent Schoolhouse, they have 1950s theme. The backstory is the janitor killed students and put them in the walls of the basement. I have no problem with that type of thing. But you have a giant rat and a clown and all these type of things, which is great. It's what a haunted house should be. But if you don't explain what's going on, how does that make sense either? And a lot of them would say to me, You don't fit in, Damien Reaper, that has been there since the very beginning. You don't, you don't, you don't fit in here. And I'm thinking, how, how don't I fit in here? Well, it's your costume. What about my costume? It doesn't fit. Okay, I'll change my costume. The characters changed every single year. It makes no sense of what they're talking about. Like I said, when I left Dungeons Dent and Mall, every time I left, I was called a traitor. However, if I didn't leave, I'll be betraying my values and my thoughts and my brand and everything I worked to get to that point. My door has always been open for friendships, and I still see them as family, even though some do not treat people as family. I still get shade, even though I've been retired 6 years. My Facebook went out, was hacked and all that stuff last year, and I tried to add people back, and a lot of them would not add me back. Even though one said they have no problem with me, they didn't add me back. And I see many of my peers are lost. If my health was better, maybe I'd be doing more than, just talking on a microphone, every single year. But I always made a vow, if I'm able to work with groups, I won't join them on an official level. I will teach people. If you need someone to mentor, just send them to me. Just, DM me, and, I'll help whatever I can. And, I don't expect money from it. If I'm doing conventions, if I'm able to do conventions, the only thing I would ever ask for is, take care of the hotel. I'll do everything else. I don't want to get paid, but those hotels are expensive. I'm not here to be a part of a clique of who they think they are the best. I've seen haunted houses. Sadly, it baffles the mind to tell all their cast, their crew, their family, their co-workers of other jobs to completely dominate everyone else on a voting system on a review site. This is the ugly behavior that I've seen, and I can't deal with that. That doesn't help our community. It helps your business, but it doesn't help the community. And my point of view now is I want to build the individual. You can still be a team player, but if you're not building up yourself for your own professional views, what are you doing? This is something that's important. And if you're not being taught right, and I know many haunts that are not teaching their actors anything, barely. They're not spending time to figure out the character within the person to bring that out of them, or even teaching them scare tactics or something like that. They're not doing the extra effort every single year, and I know it could get tiring. I would have loved to have been able to teach over at Dent Schoolhouse, but not one of them let me. I got to teach over at Dungeon to Height even when I was with the Dent Schoolhouse. I taught a lot with Maul. Jim Millspaw and I taught a class at Midwest Haunting Convention. He mostly spoke, but I had my little moment to shine with it. And because it's not about just simply creating a character name or stage name or using your own name. You have to have the professionalism to back all of that up. That's part of the brand, how you push the brand. So many focus on the group, and I know it's important, but you need to focus on you too. Owning your own work should matter to the owner and to you as the artist. And I've said it millions of times. If the makeup artist did your work or did your makeup, credit them. If you're using a costume by someone or the haunt, credit them. If you're at a haunt or on a film set, you credit where you are because that helps your portfolio. And the same goes for a haunted house. If you're posting a picture of an actor, credit them and ask them what they want to be credited as. Don't take it upon yourself because of your political views or personal beliefs to put their government name on that picture. Who knows, they could have a stalker, you know? You don't know their situation. You talk to them. I mean, my stage name is Damien Reaper. Others in different things, went by Danis Vaughn, Bud Benson, Matt Storm, Zen Batman, Meat Hulk Jim. For whatever reasons, they didn't use their government names. To disrespect an actor that's at a haunted house, to not listen to them, and not care about what they have to say, is pretty classless attitudes. And the same goes for crossing a line with someone. You as an actor or any talent, creating a brand should be something that you should strive for. Write your own stories. Have some friends create some films. Who cares if it sucks? I believe in, doing these things, and I'll give you a quick rundown. Alright? Create a brand name, or it can be your character, stage, or your real name, but you gotta put that professionalism to it. Be on time. Do what's asked of you, but also have the knowledge and wisdom to be like, if they say something that feels comfortable or doesn't feel like something that you believe in, you have a right to voice yourself. You have a right to say, no, I'm not going to participate in it, and not get harassed and put down and called a traitor just because someone else, has a problem with you. Put the years and experience under your belt. Like I said, be on time. Don't call off except for being sick or lost or an emergency. And no owner should be saying, oh, you're fired because of these things. Because it's human. And I can see slacking off. But if you're sick, tell your actor, get a doctor's note. If you're a loss, if someone's dealing with a loss, help them. Or if there's an emergency, if someone gets hurt on your property and you let them go, and is that right? I can see if they're completely hurt throughout the season, and where they can't come back because of they broke the leg or something. But if, maybe they can help out with some other things like, parking and, saying, hey, go to that something or another, and yeah, it'll suck for the actor and you might be down an actor, but help him out, man. Actors and owners should be getting their own photos and videos throughout the season, and even trying to do headshots and body shots in and out of character in the off season. You as an actor should be doing these things either with friends or on your own, for professionalism. And there's websites out there, you can make them HD, you can put a different background behind it, that type of thing. There's more things for that now than it was back in my day. And make a website for yourself, man. There's social media, but have, a website. And it's fine if if it's free. I mean, if you're doing it on a, professional level, you might want to get a paid one, but because like with Mall, I wanted them to do a professional website, have for easy thought, easy for the owners to go, okay, let's go check out this group, mallmonsters.com. And because we were a new group, and a lot of our members used a lot of stuff from either Dungeons or Dent. We don't look the same as we do, in our past. And what happened there was, the people from Dent contacted them and said, you can't use our photos without crediting us, which makes sense to me. And that's fine. And even though I think what they should have done was just get a camera, get each actor, just shoot pictures. Just shoot, the one thing that Mall did to me, what was so powerful, was the first video of 2014. They showed them without the character, in character, and it was great. It was like, wow, this is amazing. This is what I'm talking about. Keep doing that every single year. They keep it fresh, new members, all that type of thing, and you make it look professional. And unfortunately, when Jason Henry passed, and everybody kind of broke away a little bit. But you, as an actor, I'm telling you this is to those that were in Dungeons and Dent and Mall or whoever, or even at RIP Sideshow or any Fear Fair anywhere, USS Nightmare, you should be collecting your photos, doing new photos every single year, updating your resume, updating everything, and just being a professional doing this stuff, because that's the only way this, profession is going to grow. It's not just about getting the new prop, getting the new costumes that cost more than my car. It is about the actors trying to learn their crafts and build something for themselves. We might not be movie stars. I know plenty of makeup artists that have gotten into film. Not too many you don't see on the Oscars. Someone going up there and saying, I thank my mom, my dad, the haunted house I worked for. And maybe they have or have not been, worked for the haunted house. But there's no, we are a underdog profession, and there should be more attention with that. And though I understand I'm not going to get my flowers of what I started back in the 90s, and some people have made sure of that. But that's okay, because I'm talking to you because I care, and I will always care, because it's not about me anymore. It's about you. How can I encourage you to take a step to be you, to be a larger than life version of you, and how to encourage you to think about this and love haunting, but not giving up who you are because of a group or because of a business. You're important, and I love you. I love you all more than anything. I am so thankful of the positive things in my career. Thanks to our viewers. Thanks to all 3 haunted houses that I put my effort towards, because I legitimately wanted to make sure and want them to win. It's up to them how they do business and if they want to keep going. But you as an individual, you matter. You're the one I'm looking at. I want you to win. I want you to take this industry and make that grow. Not just about creating, an attraction or an amusement park, but you as an actor, you as a creator, you as a character. I want you to keep growing. I want you to grow big. Why aren't there movies of you? Well, get friends to make movies with you. Who cares if they suck? It's you. If you care about something, you keep it going. You write stories. You draw. You do something. It's not about getting something, getting a reward or money. It's about you as an artist and trying your effort, doing it for you. That's my thing. Now, go out there, have fun. This is me coming from my heart. Rock and roll all night, party every day, scream out loud. Come and be part of the Diamond's Eye. And now, meat bags. See ya, bitch.